So there's the background to it. But before I continue, let me just, say, as I always say from time to time, that if there's any challenge at all, with viewing us, you can always check us out on our YouTube channel, and we are live there as well. Everybody in diaspora that used to see us can still be seeing us. But here we'll be covering, that is to say, we'll also be...
We're interrupting this program to bring you a live telecast. Our regular programs will continue shortly. Please stay tuned.
You, the people, say constitutionality of emergency rule. I hear that already we have Reverend Dominic on the line. Good morning, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Yori.
Yeah.
Good morning, TVC. Yori, since this emergency was announced a few days ago, I have read the Constitution, that 05, Section 11, over 7 times. But Yori, I want to comment this morning as a Nigerian and as a patriot.
Okay.
Yori, people who are saying that if you put emergency rule, you don't supposed to move the elected officials. And we are referring to Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe. Yori, these times are different if you have ordinary understanding of what you are facing in Nigeria. In Borno, in Yobe, in Adamawa, the problem then was militant fighting against the state of a nation, and the fighting against the state government or the elected officials. The problem was not the governors and members of state assembly. I thought to myself, and I guess somebody will hear me this morning, because this up, forth, and back doesn't make sense anyway. I thought to myself, if Mr. President has announced emergency rule in River State and leave Fubara, his company, and leave the state assembly to keep dancing this naked, what is the meaning of emergency? Because these actors were the problem. The best way is to remove the actors and bring sanity. And this is my, opinion. What the Constitution says or what it does not say does not matter here. The president has the right, the power to maintain law and order. If you leave Fubara, if you leave state assembly members and they are all their supporters and put a state of emergency, what does that mean? Do you want them to continue dancing naked and causing trouble? So to me, Mr. President is right, from my own stand, to remove the actors. It's just like cancer. You have to cut off the cells that is decaying, so you can get a fresh blood that will heal the wound. The cancer here is the cancer here is the members of state assembly. So to me, Mr. President is not that, because this is extraordinary time. That is extraordinary measure. That's my own contribution, Chief Yori.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic, for calling in. Of course, all of us will, recall the president's speech, and since then, there have been contributions by the Attorney General has spoken to sort of clarify what the issue is, and there are those who are saying that the action is despotic, and I think the Nigeria Labour Congress has also commented on the matter and has said that it just can't see the sense in all of this. Okay, so everybody is having their say. It was pointed out along the line that, look, the suspensions do not necessarily mean sacking. It's a 6-month suspension, according to how we've been explained to, for everybody to cool down. Everybody to cool down, and let's look at how we can resolve this. There's been there are those who have even interpreted it along the lines of, it's a lifeline for the River State governor and other people concerned, because it's possible that within the first 6 months, well, it was for 6 months, but if it isn't extended, it will be for 6 months. But within that 6 months, and if necessary beyond that, there are going to be chances for people to do a rapprochement, and it's possible for this to be mended. So yesterday, Dr. Tony Ofoyetan was here. He's a legal practitioner in addition to being a security pro. He was saying that that was his take on the matter, that one way of looking at it is that Sim Fubura governor has been given a new, a fresh lease of life. Now, it's been explained the president is not going to sit by and watch things totally fall apart. For those who are saying it was precipitate, so when the Attorney General was asking, when he was briefing, when would such critics have thought that it was in order? As he himself answered his own rhetorical question, now is the time to act to prevent much greater damage looking down the road. But Mr. George, good morning and thank you for calling in too.
Yori.
Yes.
Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, some of the comments you are hearing from different groups, I do not see them coming from the perspective of sincerity of purpose.
Okay.
This crisis has been on in Rivers State now for close to 2 years. Many of these people that are talking, because they were benefiting from the rot and from the crisis, they didn't say anything. Look at NBA. NBA has never said anything on this crisis, but 2 hours after the pronouncement, they came out with their president came out with a statement that it is illegal. They think that some of us are fools, or they think that they are talking to children when they are making pronouncements. Some lawyers have relocated from Lagos to Port Harcourt because of the money they are making from the governor, misleading the governor, not allowing him to do the right thing because of the money they will make from him. NBA did not see anything wrong in what those lawyers were doing. What is emergency? State of emergency is because it becomes necessary when there is no governance or there is a deficit in governance. And there is obviously a deficit in governance. Illegality upon illegality is thriving in that state. Even the Supreme Court judgment confirmed it, that there is no governance in that state. And then the president, it came to a point that some of the supporters of one of the parties resorted to destroy national assets. That is the bedrock for Nigeria's economy. The president cannot keep quiet on that. I heard some people saying, why did the president not do the same thing in Southeast? Is there no governance in Southeast? Even if IPOP are disturbing people, the governor is still in office, the legislators are still working, the civil servants are working, the state is collecting money to run the system. Is it the same thing with Rivers? I do not understand some of our people. We have to look at things in the national way, not just because of what we gain from something. We are here in this country. If everything is brought down in Rivers State that belongs to the federal government, are the NBA lawyers who are talking now, will they benefit from it? I don't understand. The NBA president came out 2 hours after the pronouncement, and he said he's talking on behalf of the NBA. When did they hold the meeting? Under 2 hours for them to come out with a position. Nigeria Labour Congress is talking about a pronouncement the president made. Is Labour now a political organization? I thought Labour is for the welfare of workers. They have been veering into politics.
Labour in their release, as you know, was saying that ultimately all of this would affect negatively the Nigerian worker who is already, laboring under quite a heavy burden, and that is why.
Well, what was the position of Labour? Are the assembly members not workers? For almost 2 years, the salaries and allowances of the assembly members had been seized and confiscated by the governor. Why didn't the Labour defend them? Are they not workers? They know what they are doing.
Okay.
And then the elders, the pandits, who are supposed to play the role of elders, have become compromised. If I were the president, I would put some of them on trial. They are part and parcel of the crisis.
Okay.
Because instead of taking elderly positions, they took a biased position and made the crisis to worsen. Somebody came to your studio yesterday and was blaming Wike for everything. Was it Wike that asked the governor to bring down the assembly building? Was it Wike that told the governor to take 3 members and present 1 trillion naira budget to them? And he's working on that. Was it Wike who asked the governor to seize the salaries and allowances of legislators?
Okay. Indeed.
The Supreme Court judgment, did they mention Wike's name there?
And all, not at all.
Was it Wike that told the governor not to carry out the agreement he signed in front of the president?
I hear you, Mr. George.
We should apportion blame where it belongs. As far as this issue is concerned, the governor did not follow the right. I hope, Uncle Yori, with these 6 months, I hope he will be able to disentangle himself from these people who are pulling him back and do the right thing, go behind the scene, meet his opponents, resolve this matter amicably, so that after 6 months, he will demonstrate to the president that they are now ready to work together in the interest of the people of the state. Then he can come back to the office. It's a simple thing, but he is the one that is not making it simple. If I were the president and you are bombing a pipeline that belongs to the whole country, that is the source of our income, I will not look at you. I will take actions to stop you.
Indeed.
And then the one that came to social media and started boasting and threatening the president, he should be arrested.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, Mr. George. Appreciate your call, because principally that's what we want to hear today. We want to hear from the people, you the people. We have our representatives, of course, for that, but still, now and again, you can hear directly from the people, and that's one of the things that we're doing this morning. Mr. Ken, is it Mr. Ken or Sir Ken Okolugbo?
Good morning.
Ken Okolugbo.
Good morning, Yori.
Good morning, Ken.
I can hear you very well.
Yes. Okay. I just heard that you called in.
Okay, I thought you were having me as a guest. I didn't know you were. I was to discuss it.
Okay. Okay. Of course, Ken, you are regular. It's like you're a member of the house already. So my apologies. So that's yes. Ken Okolugbo. Is properly the special assistant to the Senate President, senior special assistant to the Senate President. Thank you very much for coming on our program. Yeah, go ahead. What the constitutionality of emergency rule is what we're looking at, and we want to hear from people, actually.
Well, I'm the consultant on communication and strategy to the Senate President. Yes.
Consultant on communication
and strategy to the Senate President. But am I here on that? Category?
Well, you're here you're here because you're you. You're here because you're you?
Because why I'm saying this is that everything I predicted has come to pass in Rivers State.
Tell me about it.
I was on your platform on politics. Is it Politics Tonight? I have spoken about this matter over 10 times on Politics Tonight. And one of the things I find very disheartening is that Governor Fubara refused to see reason with all the warnings that people like us gave in terms of our analysis and looking at this thing from historical perspective. The fact that he refused to recognize that the legislature was properly constituted when they suspended Edisine here, who was then the deputy speaker. Sorry, he was then the majority leader. He was the deputy speaker in the defunct Rivers State House of Assembly. he now became the majority leader, and he was properly suspended. Then there was no issue of defection. He was suspended, and 3 other members, which is Okojumbo and the other 2, were also suspended alongside with him. And that left the Rivers State House of Assembly with 27 members. Remember that one of the members died. And so at that point in time, that was when I thought Governor Fubara would play the politics of join with the House of Assembly members. But he did not judge with the House of Assembly members. He rather took the part of what he was being advised, and decided to go ahead after the Rivers State Assembly had been bombed to demolish it. That demolition that was done on the 13th of December 2023, to me considered already a very serious crime against the people of Rivers State, because that was gross misconduct. Now, the same Rivers State House of Assembly, you gave out a contract of 20 billion for it, about 19 point something billion, which amounts to 20 billion of taxpayers' money for them to rebuild it, all because you were trying to war of impeachment. Yes, people in their opinion have said the former Governor Wike, can be overbearing. But I warned them in your program, I'm saying all the things I've said before, so that it wouldn't look like I am repeating all these things anew. You can go and fact check me. Thank God it was on your platform. You know, yes, Wike can be overbearing. Wike can have anger issues. But he wasn't the one that told you to demolish the House of Assembly and go on to recognize only 3 members of the House. Even when the issue of defection had not been settled, you continued. And when even Omotosho's judgment came on the 22nd of January 2024, you still continued to deal with only 3 members of the House of Assembly. You were one to submit that budget to them. The president intervened, saw what was in front, and in all this, I think the governor, just like the Supreme Court said, acted like a despot. Most people fail to refrain from the fact that it wasn't the president that said he was a despot. In the president's speech, I'm not his spokesperson, but in the president's speech, the president was only referring to a part of the Supreme Court judgment that called Governor Fubara a despot. And so those are not the words of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as wrongly depicted by those who just want to condemn the fact that this action was taken to stem the crisis that the president was seeing in front of us. And let us also not forget that the security reports that are available to the president are usually not available to us. And we had seen it unfold itself. And so I think the governor should rather be one who should be happier that this decision was taken than for the impeachment part to have been concluded, which would have finally saw him out of office for a period for the rest of his tenure as governor. That's my opinion.
Indeed. As to the constitutionality of emergency rule, do you care? Because that's our subject, really. I don't know if they told you.
No, I traced all that happened so that you can understand that this was what have led to the constitutionality, to the declaration of state of emergency. I'll leave that to the senators and the House of Rep members. They're taking their decision today. They're going to debate it on the floor of both chambers. It requires an approval from the Senate and an approval from the House of Rep, who will decide on supporting the state of emergency. I believe that the president saw what was in front and decided to take his decision. And I also think that this decision was also in order, because if that impeachment process had gone on at this material point in time, there would have been a worse crisis in front of us. There would have been a total breakdown of law and order. And also, don't avert your mind to the fact that the Supreme Court also tongue-lashed the governor and listed so many of the areas decisions he had taken, which they found him liable. And so, if you are impeaching a governor, the Constitution says he has to be gross misconduct. What can be worse than the fact that the Supreme Court has found you liable to have actually committed gross misconduct? It makes the impeachment process easier. So the best thing the governor should have done at that point in time was to humble himself, set an agenda for him to actually judge with the House of Assembly members who have been alienated, who have been, their salaries and their allowances have been withheld, to play the politics with them and actually allow the budget of 2025 to pass and placate them for 2024 budget, which when he started spending from June 2024, he already found himself to be in breach of the Constitution. One of the areas I disagreed with my late father, Papa Clark, of blessed memory now, was in the issue of Rivers State. I always agreed with him on every issue, but on the issue of Rivers State, I always took another position because I actually thought that what was going to happen now will eventually come to happen. And so the governor would sit down within these 6 months, reflect on it rather than maybe going to court or fighting it, or reflect on all those actions he has taken. So by the time he comes back to power in September, he would have had enough time to actually get the House of Assembly buying and amend all these mistakes he has made, which the Supreme Court has clearly spelled out.
Indeed. As you know, the governor, I don't know how it was interpreted. There seemed to be a rapprochement from him. He actually indicated to the House of Assembly that, yep, he was going to come in response to, what the invitation they had put out, and but they didn't let him in. So you could see that this whole thing, a lot of damage had been done in terms of the relationship between the governor and the other officials in the state, and so it couldn't happen. I don't know, for instance, if I've heard members of the assembly, especially the speaker of the assembly, saying that he's in total support of the president for this particular action. If he had been able to, meet with them as he had intended to, I don't know if this might not have happened. Who can say? This is in the area of conjecture.
But I think what the governor should have done if I were in his position, having seen what the Supreme Court has said, he first of all said he wanted to wait to study the CTC of the Supreme Court judgment. That was the first mistake he made. He had his lawyers
copy, right?
No, he had his lawyers in court.
Yes.
His lawyers would have told him the details of what the judgment was. And he has an attorney general who would have also briefed him of the implications of what the Supreme Court judgment would mean. For the Supreme Court to call you a despot, for the Court of Appeal to say you carried on like you were a law to yourself, that this was executive, legislative recklessness. You understand? If the two courts of the country, the appeal court and the Supreme Court, can use such words for you, you should, at that point in time, ask yourself, can all these people be said to be products of the opposition or the enemies, as he refers to those who criticize him? This cannot be. The highest court of the land has ruled. I will then play the politics with the members of the House of Assembly. It is not right to write them later to say they should come, or him waiting for them to write him. He would reach out to Amewule. He would ask to see Amewule in his private home. He will go there, sit with Amewule. Amewule will not close the door of his house. Sit down with Amewule. At this point, my brother, yes, mistakes have been done. You are the Speaker of the House. We have to move the state forward. If I have offended you, find a place in your heart to forgive me. That is what humility is all about, because the Supreme Court has ruled against you. Can you call your members? Let us meet outside the legislative chambers. And then we can agree on certain terms. Then before he can now write a letter officially to say he's coming to present the budget, how do you write to people who have been offended for over a year, who you haven't paid their allowances and their emoluments, and you expect that there won't be friction? You must play the politics. Even if you say Fubara is not a politician, but he also has people who have played politics advising him. You stoop to conquer. That is what he said.
Indeed. I don't know what you think of, well, as to the constitutionality of this whole matter, that is in the hands of the National Assembly.
Why I refrained to speak about the constitutionality of this whole matter is that the president has already made his proclamation. The National Assembly, if they back it up today, will definitely now give it the legal backing that it is needed. So let us allow the National Assembly to debate the constitutionality of the matter.
Exactly.
They are the ones to actually look at the pros and the cons and look at the position of the president. If indeed he had the power to declare the state of emergency at the particular point in time he declared it, and if he had the powers, then they will support it.
Okay.
If they think he did not have the powers, then they will not support it.
Exactly. So, and as they are in session, that should be done today, between today and tomorrow, I imagine.
Yes, that was why I was very reluctant to accept this invitation, because I'll soon be on my way to the National Assembly.
Okay. Well, thank you for accepting. Ola in Abuja, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thank you, sir. What I just wanted to add is, I'm a pastor, and the book of John, I think, chapter 13, verse 7, Jesus was telling one of his disciples when he brought water to wash their feet. When he got to Simon Peter said, "No, you can't wash my feet." But Jesus said to him, "What I am doing now, you may not realize, but later you will understand." Now, the point I'm making, the step that the president has taken may not be clear to a lot of people now, but later on, they would understand why the president took action that he took.
Yes.
What we need to do now is to try and travel into the mind of the president by the deal that he did it, because it was
okay. We appear to be having a difficulty. I was, Ola, while thanking you for calling in, you were fine until about 15 seconds ago when, it got all chipmunky in terms of the way we're hearing you. We couldn't discern a word that you were speaking about. So what we'll do, Ken Okolugbo, just to say that we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Indeed, do keep the calls coming in. We want to look at the constitutionality of emergency rule. That's the subject matter today. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, please. Constitutionality of emergency rule. Yes, the president can declare a state of emergency. That is not the question. But what the Senate is looking at today, in fact, our guest, Ken Okolugbo, he is, he's, a consultant to the Senate president on these matters. It's one of the reasons he said he was a bit reluctant to come, and I can understand that. So thank you again, Ken. But now that you are here, to put it in perspective, is somebody trying to say something? Okay, to put this in perspective, right now, as we knew from yesterday, and because the law says so, they are discussing it in both houses of the National Assembly. I do believe somebody is trying to say something. Well, if you are also hearing what I am hearing, some sort of a distortion, please bear with us. But Ken, if you can hear me, could you just go over the playing out of the regulation, the law that the National Assembly, when they're not on recess, must meet on this and come up with an answer one way or the other within the next 48 hours? Because it is the National Assembly that really shall be looking at the situation of whether or not this is constitutional. Okay, yeah, something of a challenge. We are linked with Ken Okolugbo, and it appears that there's something wrong with that line. It was excellent, as you know, to start with, but here we have it. So the National Assembly will be deciding, because as the president himself said, all of what has been going on since he declared this state of emergency and has gazetted it and has forwarded the whole matter to the National Assembly, they have the chance, the opportunity now to either be supportive or say that, with due respect, we don't think so. And that's what everybody's going to be waiting for. But the president had explained that all of this, all his actions, every last action of his, was as a result of not having joy in any other. He himself had tried to, call the parties together, but that didn't work. The president said that his efforts were largely ignored. Maybe the president said he was also aware that other people had tried to intervene, but nobody was playing ball. Nobody wanted to play ball. But now we have the situation that we have on our hands, and we'll see where all of that goes. Keep the calls coming in, if you will. Let me see if Ken's line has cleared up. Ken, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I wasn't hearing you before.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Now, what do you say? I was just saying that the president had said that all sorts of efforts had been made to resolve this situation before he had to come in yesterday and say, you know what, I'm not going to let Rivers State, go up in flames, if that's what you want to call it, because it won't just affect Rivers State, it will affect it will affect the country. So people have said, in fact, Mr. George, a viewer who you are familiar with, at least for his being a viewer and calling in frequently, he had criticized the elders and Pandev that perhaps if they had come in differently, then we might not be where we are.
No, I don't think he should just criticize Pandev in one fell swoop. Yes, I had earlier said that the only time I ever disagreed with my father, Papa Clark, who I'm extremely very close to, was on the issue of Rivers State. A lot of the issues were debated by Pandev, which I'm aware of. And Pandev held their position because they felt otherwise, because they felt Governor Wike was more to blame, the former governor, than Fubara. But some of us held our contrary views, like I have expressed over and over again, right from when this crisis took place, both on this platform and on Arise Television, that the governor had more of the blame, because I looked at these things from a different perspective. So if Pandev decided to intervene and they could not gain the buy-in of the former governor, Wike, it would have been very difficult for Pandev to be able to settle this, because they needed his cooperation and that of Governor Fubara. But you see, where a lot of blame also go to some of the elders that were advising Governor Fubara. Mm-hmm. They were advising Governor Fubara because they had a score to settle with Governor Wike, not somebody like Papa Clark, who had no score to settle. Some of them, because they looked at it that Governor Wike did not give them an opportunity as at then to vie for the governorship of the state, felt it was time to take a pound of flesh. And they were the ones that actually led Governor Fubara to the situation he has found himself. Because if somebody has helped me,
I beg your pardon, can I just, sorry, Ken, can I just interrupt you for a moment? Because Tunde in Ojota has been waiting, and I didn't...
it's all right.
Okay. Good morning, Tunde in Ojota.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks to Mr. Ken for the enlightenment he has even contributed to the issue at hand. For my own position is that we Nigerians, we are easily likely to always criticize. We usually take sides. In the issue of Rivers State, I particularly put him on the governor, because he is the governor of the state. You will see various people giving you advice, but at the end of the day, you must still try and put your own mind and weigh in the true advice from the outside and from his own opinion before he takes steps. How can somebody demolish a property built by taxpayers' money? A property built by taxpayers' money, and you want to go scot-free with that? It's uncalled for. We easily forget things. It's not easy for somebody to pay tax and saying his tax money being wasteful. And the Rivers State people are not even looking at that. They are talking about Mr. Wike. And again, Mr. Fubara ate and dined with Wike. No, everybody, even we that are talking now, we never knew what was going on behind the closed door. He was taken with the devil. I'm sorry to mention that word. And now it's just like somebody joining a cult, joining a society. And you now want to back out from the society you have joined. Easily like way. It's not done.
All right.
Before you go out of that, you will need to face the consequences. And that is what he's facing. It's unfortunate that the citizen of Rivers State that is taking the blame.
Okay.
Because a taxpayer's money, now he is commissioning the project. Imagine somebody demolish the new hospital he just commissioned about last week, and somebody go there to demolish it from behind. They now say it's UK people that demolish it. Look at that. That's just an example of it. Demolishing people's taxpayers' money. Okay. And people are saying the president is not doing the right thing.
Indeed.
Now, I'm so ashamed of how we take decisions sometimes. Everything we blame the president because we just don't like the face of the president. If we don't like the face of somebody, we all just condemn anything about that person. Either he's doing it right or he's doing it wrong. But
all right, then. Thank you very much, Tunde. Really appreciate you.
The pipeline.
Appreciate your calling in, Tunde.
The life and it's affecting the economy. Everybody will still blame by the same president.
Exactly.
He's not taking it proactive.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate your calling in. Thank you very much. Again, the National Assembly is going to be looking at this, and we'll be getting the direction from them. The president himself, when he made his nationwide address, had said that this was going to go to the National Assembly for assent. It's conceivable. I mean, it's possible that they might say, with due regards, no, thank you. But again, we'll have to wait. We don't know. The president has done what he has done in the best interest of Rivers State and the country at large. The gentleman who called in, Tunde, as the president, recalls that a whole House of Assembly was, bulldozed to the ground. And that in itself, if the governor didn't have immunity, I imagine, is a criminal offense. Some have even said an impeachable offense. But it happened. It happened about, almost 2 years ago or something like that. And it hasn't been rebuilt. So the president had said that he's constrained to feel that there is no governance going on in Rivers State. And certainly, any dividend of democracy is going to be very, very difficult to transmit to the people of the state. So here we are. I was going to ask you, Ken, do you know the background to, because we haven't had this kind of a situation very many times, what they are going to be considering, what the issues are going to be. No doubt they'll be looking at every reason that the president gave for his action, and they will be forming their own opinion on it and then take a resolution on it as to whether it can stay or whether they want to intervene and, shall we say, suspend the action.
Well, you can't predict what the decisions are going to be. Definitely, we will expect that some of the members will kick against it. You had the former governor, Shirake Dixon. He clearly said he was against it. And
yes.
A couple of others would also voice their opinion. That is why they said the majority will always have their way, the minority will have their say. That is what the Constitution provides.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing the way my boss, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has led the National Assembly, he's going to allow for a robust debate.
Okay. Okay. In the meantime, Larry, I believe, is it Larry? Larry has called in from Abuja. Good morning, Larry.
Morning, how are you?
Very well. Go ahead, please, Larry. Thank you for calling in.
My own contribution shortly is that from the beginning that we're watching what was happening in Rivers State, I would have preferred that the assembly should go ahead and do what they wanted to do. Leave them to do what they wanted to do. Because if you look at what happened between the governor and the godfather, I keep telling people, if you know that you cannot be at the beck and call of the person that is fighting to give you the power, please don't collect the power from him. Because they do a lot, they step on many toes to give you the power. Yeah, everybody knows that, yes, Honorable Minister Wike, yes, he might have his own overdo a bit. But from the beginning, when things were doing well between them, where were all these people? When when the guy was at the beck and call of the minister when he was about to collect the power from him. You see, politicians do a lot when they want to take over from their godfather. They accept a lot. So why will you collect the power finished? You now come to the open and start fighting the man that gives you the power.
Okay, so now it has scattered, so to speak. It has scattered, so to speak, in Rivers State.
They do a lot of things together secretly before power is transferred to them. He accepts so many things from the man. Do this, I will do. Do this, I will do. They go, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, from the beginning to the end. Why don't you have a way of going to meet your boss and beg him and discuss with him and finish everything? Call people that are responsible, people that know the secret between you and him. Because I know there are a lot of secret between politicians before they give transfer power to them.
Okay.
We must have offended like 100 people to give this guy the power. Do you know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
All of us know politics.
Okay.
We all know politics, no matter where you are. We do politics, even in your home, you do politics. Between your wife and your daughter, you do politics. You understand? He's not supposed to come out and be fighting the way he's fighting. At the end of the day, the guy will lose. I keep telling people who are close to me, look, in politics, there are so many things you do at night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., when people are not there with your godfather. So you shouldn't come out to the open and come and be fighting. You don't fight to get the power from him. You did not fight.
It's the Nigerian way or the political way. That is how it is in politics globally, is what you're saying, right? Well, thank you very much, Larry, for calling in. I don't know, Ken, interestingly, Mr. Ron Mbatogu, he actually is asking that, wait a minute, if our senators and representatives vote against the emergency in Rivers State, what will happen?
If they vote against it, it will cease. That's what the Constitution says.
That's all. That's really all. So, I mean, but I imagine that there would have been, far-reaching consultations. And besides, even if the president, I don't know how many people he consulted, but he would have consulted far and wide. My guest yesterday was saying that, you know what, the president has met with military people, law enforcement, consulted widely before making that announcement. So it must have been sounding things out. And the president's most important concern was that there is no governance going on. The Supreme Court had determined that it can't be said that there is a government in there. So to Mr. Mbatogu's question of what will happen if our senators and representatives vote against the emergency in Rivers State, it's more than a simple question, the way he has put it. It's straightforward because it stands to reason that if they vote against it, then that's the end of that. But do I discern some element of doubt and perhaps even hope that what if these people were to throw it, that is the legislators were to throw a spanner in the works and say, you know what, we don't agree?
Well, that is a hypothetical question. The floor, I'm sure as we are speaking now, the senators will be in the Senate chambers, the House of Rep members will be in the House chambers. So let Nigerians watch and see how the decision is taken. But if I feel this way, and if I went back to the trajectory of how I have spoken about the issues in Rivers State. I'm not from Rivers State, as you know, I'm from Delta State. And if I feel the pulse of most of your callers, then you can tell that Fubara has been advised wrongly. And it's not a case of being emotional. The president saw clear and present danger, in my own opinion, my personal opinion. And he was averting that clear and present danger that he saw.
Exactly.
And that is why we should also understand that the security reports that are available to him are not available to us. And sometimes you take unpopular decisions too to save a situation as a president. Well, you might be chastised, you might be abused, you might be condemned. But in the long run, you'll be vindicated that this decision I took was in the best interest of the country at that material point in time.
We're going to have to leave it here, but I want to thank you very much, Ken Okolugbo.
Thank you for having me. I think today you'll pay me some I'll give you a deal today.
Thank you very much, Ken. As always, we know we can count on you. Thank you very much, Ken Okolugbo, consultant to the Senate President. Okay, so we're going to have to leave it here for now.